So my name is Swetlana Heger, and I'm a visual artist based in Berlin, Germany, but also in Sweden, where I'm an art educator. I am not a photographer, even though my work has been published in magazines and publications related and focused on photography, and also I've been in many exhibitions related and focused on photography. So I would just maybe kind of make a short introduction. I think it's what's interesting about photography that it has a quite short history when it comes to the recognition also on the art market. And if you think of the Art Basel, which is the major art fair in the world, which was established in 1970 by the gallerist Ernst Bayerle, who later became well known as a collector and a founder of the Bayerle Foundation in Basel, which hosts one of the most amazing European modernist collections in the world. It took 16 years for the Art Basel to establish photography as a own genre within the contemporary art. And until 2002, photography was banned into own section under the section photography. And nowadays it's dissolved, it's shown within regular artworks. Maybe it's also interesting to mention that the Foundation Bayerle announced this year that they will host a big retrospective of the first photo exhibition ever within the collection of European modernism by Wolfgang Tillmans. So my relationship to photography is rather related to my practice, and I see the photography rather as a tool to visualize my conceptual ideas, and maybe the photography is also an eye-catcher for my interest in the background information of art production and art discourse. And so my images primarily function as surrogates, and they refer rather to networks of relations. And maybe I show at least one work to kind of visualize what I'm doing. This is was an exhibition called Dream City, and it was hosted by 4 major institutions in Munich. One of them was Haus der Kunst, which is known for the degenerated art exhibition in the 30s, which showed many artworks by Jewish artists, which were defined by the Nazis as unwished and unrecognized art. So the exhibition was titled Dream City, and the title was taken out of a tourist brochure describing Munich as this kind of perfect city with like high lifestyle, great venues, big touristic attraction, magnet for tourists from all around the world. But it was sponsored and organized by Siemens, and Siemens is one of the largest German corporations who in the Second World War was also involved in Nazi crimes, supporting the Nazi industry, weapon industry. So Siemens and several other companies within Germany are very much involved in culture support, and they're quite generous also with the money. But of course it has a background. They want to kind of show their, or kind of wash the dark past. So this exhibition was organized and supported financially by Siemens, and it hosted a big historical show with like famous artist positions by Joseph Beuys, General Idea, Tim Rollins, and many others. But it also commissioned several younger artists to do a site-specific work. And I collaborated on this piece with Plamen Dejanov, and when we went on our research trip to Munich and kind of learned about the history and the background of this exhibition, we had our doubts, should we participate or should we not participate? And then we said, no, we have to kind of make a statement, because this is an interesting issue, because we see that the public money is disappearing from the museums and the public institutions, and there are always money cuts. And then you see all kind of sponsor logos on the invitation cards and in catalogs, but the artists usually never get to know what was the part of these contributors, because it's not that we get the production money from these companies or we get the fee from these companies. Where is this money involved? What is the background information behind it? So what we decided to do was to ask another corporation, BMW, which is another big major corporation in Munich, to rent our space, which was dedicated to our work in one of these major venues. And we also decided that our contribution for the catalog will be an insert by BMW, one-to-one, as you would see in any other brochure, car magazine, whatever. And this was in 1999, so it was quite new that you would see like something like this in an art catalog or in an art magazine. Nowadays, you know, Frieze and Artforum, they all have fashion brands advertising their products, but at the time this was not the case. So it was quite brave also from the curators to let us do it. And of course there were lots of discussion. And we also decided to work only with like prefabricated material from the company. So everything you see is from the company, and we choose it from their showrooms and installed it together with the company in the exhibition space. And it looks very arty when you look at it, but all the things are actually not made by us. And it was very, very great because we didn't have to do anything. We basically had to just to choose the things. And it caused a lot of troubles, and actually one of the 4 curators decided to move this work out of the exhibition one day before the opening. And wrote a quite aggressive statement why this work should be boycotted, and why it should not be allowed to let artists interfere with such intervention in public spaces. But again, the entire show was sponsored by a private corporation, which was kind of hiding behind the cultural value to kind of become to kind of wash their dark past. And these are other venues. This is, for example, at Palais de Tokyo with Nicolas Bourriot in an exhibition called Le Capital, where we were continuing within this period of time of the exhibition to exhibit other works related to that piece, which was called Quite Normal Luxury. And it was also about these artistic conditions when we go for shows, like there's hardly any budget, we have to always kind of negotiate the budgets, there are no artist fees usually. We stay in bad hotels, not here. But it's always this kind of thing, you see these great logos, but you don't really know where is this money, and so how are we involved? But we kind of give the cultural value to the sponsors. And so here you see, for example, material from a James Bond movie, because at the time BMW was sponsoring a James Bond movie. This was shown at the Tomio Koyama Gallery in Tokyo. And on the right side, this is the piece from Le Capital, which was later shown at the Moderna Museum in Stockholm, and also is in the collection of Hamburger Bahnhof in Berlin right now. And these are just regular billboards. And maybe you ask, what was the exchange for this kind of letting out a space? Yeah, maybe this is another image. Oops. Sorry. Yeah, it was kind of interesting because you just showed a piece by Gerhard Richter, and in the morning, in the afternoon, we saw this kind of comparison of an artist to Manet, so this was one of the images which kind of became iconic for this series of works, where art critics started to say, oh, this looks like Gerhard Richter, and even this was a prefabricated image, it was not made by us. And it was shown on different magazines, for example, on the Flash hardcover, and it became an art piece suddenly. And the exchange was that the company decided to pay us with their product, and it was a sports car, which was kind of their latest sports car at the time. And that, of course, caused a controversy as well, because people said, well, how can artists kind of get the car within an exhibition? Because the other artists didn't even get the fee. I said, well, exactly that's what it's about. We're talking about it now. And we didn't really care about the car, so the car later was sold to a public collection as an art piece, which was also interesting, that suddenly like this cover of flesh art became an art piece. This became an art piece later as well. And I just wanted to kind of show how photography was used in my work, and maybe this is the label. And I just show one piece from another series just to kind of visualize it, where I asked different fashion companies to collaborate on a project with me and to kind of also question this kind of authorship of an art piece, which nowadays is still, it's still very important to have the final signature in the end on the artwork, even on photography. And so I asked different producers to make this series of works where I work with like professional fashion photographers and stylists and makeup artists to create a series which was related to me as a female artist. So I asked a professional PR company to design a portrait of of a contemporary female artist, and of course it consisted of lots of cliches what a contemporary female artist is. And then I asked the photographers to make an interpretation of this definition. And it was also very interesting because they referred to lots of old masterpieces, like this kind of Amazon, and this was a collaboration with Hermès in Paris. And these are larger-than-life photographs in the end, kind of course, very perfect and very photoshopped and not real. And but it was kind of interesting because it was basically a white canvas, and they could do whatever they wanted. But in the end, again, of course, it is a dilemma because in the end, it's my signature and it's my artwork. And okay, so I mean, this is a small project I did for a gallery in New York, and it was after the market broke down. And I read this article that in economically bad times, the lipstick sales go up. So bad times are always good for lipstick sales. And that is related to that women don't have as much money to spend on bigger items, so they spend lots of money on small items, like lipsticks. And I did a series of black and white portraits, which were also commissioned. I didn't make those myself. And then I kissed each of them with a different lipstick and gave them quasi my own signature, because also in the photography, in the end, if you want to sell the work or if you want to present it in a commercial gallery or on the art market, you have to sign it, you have to make a certificate. And I was really avoiding it. I was, instead of the signature or limited edition, it's an unlimited edition, which is kissed every single time. And there are all different lipsticks, and the titles have the names of the lipsticks, because they also have these kind of really beautiful made-up names like Bourgeois, Rouge, or I don't know, so something like that. And so they all the same, but also all different. And okay, thank you.
핵심적인 얘기는 이제 현대 소비 사회의 문화 산업 속에서 예술가의 생산 방식과 그런 역할에 대한 모순적인 양태를 자신의 작업을 통해서 보여주셨네요.